Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another My Philippine Diary. This evening, we're going to have the MPD family Thanksgiving dinner. That's the My Philippine Diary Thanksgiving dinner. It's a simple one, something that we'll talk about a little bit later, but it is what we have. We've got a lovely cake and followed by a tasty pancit meal. We've got fried chicken wings. We've got some snacks here, muffins, cookies, soda. We've got traditional white rice, which is in here. But that's what we're going to have for Thanksgiving.
Hindi naman na.
Well, here we are. As Novi's finishing up with Novi and Mary Lou, I thought I'd take a couple minutes and talk to you. I said I'd explain why we're not having a traditional Thanksgiving dinner. Well, what is traditional? When I grew up, traditional was the whole family came over and we had a feast. I guess that's what they call a mukbang these days. What's the word?
Mukbang.
Mukbang. We had a feast. We had the ham, turkey, Cornish hen, cranberry, potato sauce, potato salad, ambrosia, cornbread, greens. We were from the South, that's probably where the greens came in. Veggies, fruits, nuts. We just had a huge table. My mother would start cooking the Wednesday morning before and would cook constantly until Thursday morning. And when guests started coming over, that's when we started eating. We would eat all day long. As time passed, we got older. We, the kids. I have two sisters, one named Rosemary and one named Sandra. So it's a family of three. As we got over, our eating habits changed, as they do for most adults. At some period of time, some of us became vegetarian for a while, tried various fasts, got older. The onset of diabetes means that you don't do the ritual gorging of oneself anymore. When you get diabetes, you learn to eat in a controlled manner. And of course, as you get older, you get all kind of physical ailments. So with time, our Thanksgiving meals changed a little bit because of all the people getting older and just changes in general. Now, for me, a Thanksgiving dinner is just maybe one of my favorite foods, which in this case happens to be pancit. And of course, I like chicken, so I get a couple things together, and that is a Thanksgiving meal for me. I can't eat the quantity or quality of food I used to eat when I was younger. Anybody over 40 understands what I'm talking about. And as I am now living in the Philippines, there are a few of my family that can come visit me. I have a new family here. I love my new family. This is a great life. Before coming here, my original family, previous family, is in Los Angeles, California. And we had very few relatives in Los Angeles, California. Most were down south somewhere in other states. So our family gatherings were very small. As time went on, my sister had one son named Corey, and my sister Rosemary had one son named Corey, and my sister Sandra had one daughter named Ida. So at that point, still our families were small. You know, they both got married. So that's a total of 3, 6, maybe 10 people at best. This is my first marriage, first time I've been married, and I have no kids. So our family gatherings, when it was full, was a total of 10 people. So that's how I come to like a simpler meal for Thanksgiving. That's what I like there. Did you want to say something, though? Did you have a question? No.
Do you guys eat mashed potatoes?
I love to eat mashed potatoes, and I like mashed potatoes with gravy. Have you had mashed potatoes before?
Yeah.
With gravy?
No.
I thought I saw gravy at
Jollibee?
Jollibee's. Do you eat Jollibee gravy?
Yeah, by itself, just getting the spoonful.
Oh, you don't eat the gravy on your Jollibee food. Okay.
I get just the Jollibee and then get a spoonful of it. That's what I do with my gravy.
Yeah, that's good. Do you know why Americans celebrate Thanksgiving?
Why?
Well, a long time ago, maybe in the year 1600, 1600, not now, it's 2020, 2019, but more than 400 years ago, in the year 1600, the early 1600s, there were no Americans. The people who we call Americans were living in another country. They were living in the country of England. Have you ever heard the country England before?
UK, where the giant clock is and the Queen of England?
That is correct. Where the giant clock is, where the Queen of England lives, it's also known as the UK, it's known as Britain and England. Anyway, a long time ago, some of the people decided that they wanted to move to a place where they could have lots of land and have their own farm because they didn't have it where they lived. And so the king said, if you go to this place that we know of called this another land where we know, you can get a farm and live there. And so all those people got on a boat, the people from England, and they went to this place. And that place turned out to be North America or America, where the Americans lived. There were people living in that country before the English people got there. And they made friends with those people. And those people were called Native Americans. Sometimes you call them American Indians. Have you ever seen one of those people?
No.
One very famous one is called Pocahontas. Have you ever seen her?
Pocahontas, the movie?
Pocahontas is a real lady, and it's a story about what happened in America when the English people came there to live and make that country America. Yes.
Pocahontas' statue, I think, of one of the English ones.
Yeah, first when the Americans came, the Indians and the English people, they fought and they had wars. Anyway, after a while, they learned to be friends and they learned to talk together. But it was a new place for the Americans, and they'd never been there before, and the place where they came from was totally different. And so the Indians taught them how to grow stuff, like grow corn, mice, and
Nice.
they taught them which animals were good to hunt, to eat, and they taught them which plants were good to eat, and they taught them which plants were bad, which plants to stay away from,
Like poison ivy?
like poison ivy. They taught them that. And so they taught them everything that they needed to survive, to live there. And one thing, it was very, very cold. And so they helped them by helping them, they taught them how to get enough food that will last so that you don't have to go outside while it's cold. And they taught them how to hunt and use the buffalo skins for blankets and for jackets and stuff like that. And so the first year that the Americans, the English people, the Americans, New Americans were there, many of them died because it was a very, very hard place to live. And then after the end of the first year, they were so happy that the Indians helped them and taught them how to live off the land, taught them, what foods they could eat, that they had a celebratory dinner. They had a Thanksgiving. They had a dinner to say thank you. That dinner was to say thank you to the Indians. The dinner was to say thank you to God because we lived a year. The dinner was to say thank you because we planted a whole bunch of crops and they all grew. And that was the first time that they grew a lot of crops, a lot of food so they could live. And so that was the beginning of Thanksgiving. So every year we have Thanksgiving now to be thankful for the things that we have. So that's when we started Thanksgiving. Yes.
So they started that in November 28th?
The date changed a little, but it was November-ish, around November. In America, the Thanksgiving is not November 28th. In America, Thanksgiving is the fourth Thursday of every November. That means that not the first Thursday, not the second Thursday, not the third Thursday, not the fourth Thursday, or actually the fourth Thursday. Sometimes it's the 28th, sometimes it's the 29th, sometimes it's the 30th. So the date changes, but the day of the week stays the same. Fourth Thursday of November. So it's not always the 28th. And that's how they came. So that is why Americans celebrate Thanksgiving. In some countries that are friends with America, like the Philippines, like Canada, they celebrate Thanksgiving too, because they're our friends. Actually, Thanksgiving, they celebrate it in England a little bit too. They have a ceremony where they have thanks and they have lots of food, but Americans celebrate Thanksgiving, and that's why they celebrate Thanksgiving.
Wanna greet someone?
Happy Thanksgiving Day to our U.S. family, Aunt Rose, Aunt Sandra, Cousin Corey, Cousin Edith, Uncle Fred, and Uncle Jesse.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Oh, one thing to celebrate.
We'll wait
What's
till
one
she
thing to celebrate, Nobby?
let her. And we have more good news, and Novi will show us momentarily.
What's that? Read it.
It is my certificate of academic excellence reward for our second quarter.
Very good.
My average was 92
Why?
points.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Anyway, she's on the honors list again, and we're very thankful for that. I am thankful to be alive. I am thankful to have a great family, a great baby, and a great wife. I am thankful for so much. Give that a kiss.
First time you told that I am a great wife. It's the first time. Are you thankful now?
Yes, I'm thankful, babe.
Can I go get
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.